I want to talk about setting an intention for each day and how we often, I know I do, I have to reset my compass every day because I often confuse my primary objective with my secondary objective. So if you know how to set your intention, you know that I'm not talking about goals and tasks. I'm talking about the primary purpose, which is a daily practice of setting the intentional state of being. So if you're interested in learning how to set your intentions for the day, stick around. When we wake up every morning, we are actually prone to sleep again, to daydream, to hit the ground running, and to overly involve ourselves in the doing, the task lists. And we get our objectives all squirrely because you think you are a human being. And this is about being human. You just have to reverse those two words, and you will have focused your attention on the primary objective, being human. When you wake up in the morning, you will have the tendency to get what you call blindsided. To me, it's like having a flash go off in your eyes, and your immediate impulse is to constrict and do, to tackle your tasks, get to those emails, chase after those goals, meet those deadlines, take care of your circumstances. And to set an intention is to be intentional, right? It's not, I intend to do. I intend to do this and I intend to do that. That's great. But first and foremost, we want to focus on being intentional. And what that would mean is to remove yourself from the immediacy of taking care of your circumstances. You're being pulled in to your to-do list. Remember, this is about being human, not a human being. That's when we reversed our intentions. If you are a human being, you are an accidental thing. Your attention is in the background. Your attention is not focused on occupying the embodiment of being itself. So, you wake up in the morning with like a flash in your eyes, and I call that the gotcha moment. That's when you return to sleepwalking again. Lost in a sea of doing, lost in your own doing. And this becomes a kind of activity that's empty. It doesn't have any fulfillment in it. Because I think when we do that, we miss the primary objective, which is to be the subject. And it's the subject that brings about the object of life. So, what we want to do is embody the intentional state of being. Right? That's what I intend. To be intentional. And you have to think, well, what does that mean? I intend to be intentional. Intentional about what? Well, first and foremost, intentional about being, and then you name it. Okay? Are you intentional about being temperamental? Are you intentional about being stressed? Are you intentional about being worried? Are you intentional about being fearful? Now, if you hear how silly those questions are, you will realize that worry, fear, an over-concern about getting things done is an unintentional state of being. Isn't it? It would be like saying I'm living on accident. So what are you living for? Are you living for this idea that I gotta get it done? Or are you living for the emotive state of peace, right? Ease, transparency, acceptance, joy, pleasantry, goodwill, compassion, and non-threatened. That's what it means to reset the intention. Everything else is living compulsively, living on accident, living with the notion that the outside world has some power over you. While our primary purpose is to overcome the world. And to overcome the world is to overcome the perception that the world is overtaking me. That the world has some power over me, that my circumstances are so powerful they can bury me. They can stop me. So then you have to ask, can the source of the world, which is fundamentally what it means to be intentional, can the source of the world overpower itself, buried in its own resource or lack thereof? In other words, can you bury yourself in your own doing? Of course you can. That's what it means to be unintentional. You're overwhelmed. You're overreacting. You are overcome. Those are the unintentional states. That means the condition is more powerful than the unconditioned. So every day you reset. You have to overcome this gotcha feeling of gotcha, where I want you. This idea that you can trap yourself in your own doing. The only way to overcome the world, in that sense, is to put the intention on the state of being. Remember, a person who overcomes the world, or who frees him or herself from the notion that the world can overpower me, or my circumstances can overpower who I fundamentally am. The secret is that you embody the state of being, and you never get pushed off of the center of equanimity. Slow to anger, slow to overreact, slow to think you can suffocate yourself in your own actions. So to be intentional would be to be intentional about being intentionally free, intentionally compassionate, intentionally accepting, and intentionally pleasant. And that you can't get knocked off of your center. And a lot of people don't have a strong center. So they're walking on pins and needles on the verge of disaster. In the slightest provocation, they overreact. They haven't practiced the wonderful art of centered intentionality. I intend to be intentionally peaceful, joyful, loving, humorous, excited, whatever. And when the mind paints a picture of some kind of catastrophe, you get to doubt your own doubt. And this is how you escape the illusion of being trapped. You have something called, this wonderful mechanism called I can doubt my own doubt. I don't have to be afraid of my own fear, which is called paranoia. And you live in a paradox. You must understand that being human and human being are synonymous, right? And this paradox of me and other, or self and other, or me and you, this paradox is where people are trapped. They're trapped in the notion that they live in a world where there are insides without outsides. They live in a notion where there's a yin without a yang. They live in a notion that there are problems with no solutions, and solutions without implicit problems. This is the centering. This is the balancing act that I'm talking about. Living intentionally means you will not knock me off. It's squaring up with your circumstances and playing chicken. Until you realize you are the source of the circumstance. How can you, as the source of the circumstance, be intimidated by the very thing that you're creating? And you'll see that people are paranoid of their own doing. These are choices that you've made that have led up to this particular circumstance, which may seem to not be working. So the question is the circumstances working you? Are the circumstances working you, or are you working the circumstance? There's the question. What's the primary objective? Well, the primary objective is to be intelligent. Intelligent and intentional. Joyful and unbothered. Peaceful and unwavering. Kind and accepting. All of these states of being come first. And from that, you select your task list. Now that's crazy to people, that I should accept my task list from being. Yes. You accept your task list from being. The human does not dictate the task list to being. Some of you will understand what I'm talking about. The subject does not take orders from the object. The object takes orders from the subject. and complies. And in that compliance, you'll learn what priority is. Priority is being loving, being peaceful, being accepting, and at the end of every day, being pleased with exactly as it turns out, because somehow implicitly you've caused it. You see, you have a lot of people that don't understand that there is a direct link between the center of being and the effect of that being, called a circumstance. We don't understand the exuding being is what is reflected back in the circumstance. And so we wonder, what's the matter? Sorry, my microphone keeps slipping. Let me see if I can fix that. Well, this would be one little thing. My microphone slipping like that should make me all pissed off. Something's malfunctioning, you see. And maybe it's slipping again, you see. But that's the practice. That's the practice of being unbothered. That's the practice of being intentional. And so every day your life tests you, which is you. Your circumstances reflect back. How do you like this? How do you like this? And you just say, I love it. I love it, thank you very much. I created it. I did it. I moved it. I breathed life into it. This is my bed and I'm going to sleep in it. I love it. I love the bed I'm sleeping in. I was somehow implicitly involved in these choices. And we do things unintentionally. We do. We have a way of unintentionally driving, for example, and then intentionally focusing on an audiobook. Well, the question is, what part of you is unintentional? What part of you is driving if you can focus so intently on the audiobook you're listening to while the background you is driving? You see? In that case, you're all of it. Intentional means being as your center of primary focus. Being what? Number one, being intentional, focused and comported, and being intentional about the state that you occupy. I call that that's not the state of affairs. I call it the state of union. Your state of union is your primary objective. Sorry. I'm not going to go back and redo this video. Your state of union, that's just this equanimous, central, untouchable, neutral observation point, is off limits to your state of affairs. And in that ease, you select what it is you are to do. And that state of being, or that paying attention to that open space, gives you few tasks, very few options. Often do nothing. There is nothing you can do about your state of affairs at this moment, because your state of affairs is a reflection of a state of consciousness or a state of being that seems to have been in the past. So yes, you are occupying two timelines. The preeminent timeline and the current timeline, which seem to be in tandem. So setting your attention is putting being first. You see? Not doing. Not human. Not action. To overcome the world is to place being first. And how do you want to be? I want to be worry-free. Okay. Occupy that space. I want to be free from worry. Occupy that space. I want to be free from thought. Occupy that space. I want to be free from myself. That's a good one. Then occupy that space by focusing on something you love to do. And then the sense of self disappears. Or become the oceanic consciousness and become ubiquitous and assimilating and just free float into the edge of the cosmos, and then the center of self disappears too, you see. Those are occupying two states of being. One super focused on the activity, which I'm doing now in my delivery of this speech. And in silence, we occupy the oceanic consciousness, which is the bigger, more open, spacious consciousness, and we float. I like to close my eyes and feel that space. In both of those instances, the little me is not accentuated anymore. It's gone. Because we learn how to intentionally set the state of being, which is clear, which is slow moving, slow to anger, unbothered. And the opposition is you pressing up against yourself, wondering, am I that out there? And you sure are. And there's no more resistance against that which you are out there. So there's no more meddling in your affairs after that point. There is just this beautiful expression of the state of being, which is what is selected, which gives you the state of being, connecting to the ground of being, is what gives you your homework. It's like being in middle management. I was so worried about being in administration when I was teaching. I thought how do I know what to do? Everything came from the dean's office and the president's office and the development. Everything came from on high. So this is about being a middle management, not being a meddler, not being futzing, making work for yourself, but learning what your assignment is through the state of being and intentionally doing that without too much awareness of the person doing the doing. The person doing the doing is in the background. And the state of being is in the foreground. You've switched it. The unintentional is not leading anymore. The compulsive is not leading anymore. What's leading is the creative, the unmanifested, the thoughtless, the deeper way of thinking, which is rooted in being. That's setting your attention. And every single day I sit in this little room. It's a little room of about 10 by 8. And I set my intention. And they are as follows. I embody peace. I embody equanimity. I embody that which is unbothered. I embody the spacious, open, neutral witness. I embody acceptance. I embody love. I embody forgiveness. I embody wealth. I embody freedom. I embody effortlessness. From there, I do. And only from that point do I do. I never start my day by doing, because I'll overdo it. My name is Ryan. I hope you enjoyed these insights. I hope you'll check out my blog. It's called mymorningmotivator.com. And there are 300-word essays that I write every single day that sort of encapsulate this kind of thinking, which isn't thinking at all. It's being. I hope you'll check it out. Thanks for watching.